Nancy J. with the celebrity spotlight on a man who could easily have retired years ago thanks to #1 records and best-selling books, among other things. But thank goodness Lee Greenwood prefers to continue writing and recording with what I would call the same passion and integrity that says, I'm proud to be an American. And I'm proud to have Lee Greenwood with us. Thank you so much for being
You're welcome,
with us
Nancy.
today. You know, when we say, I'm proud to be an American, I hear the music, I hear your voice. Does that amaze you that this song continues to live and always will?
Yeah, a little bit. You know why I wrote the phrase, I'm proud to be an American, because my father served in the Navy and my stepfather in the Air Force. And for years, I had heard people talk about where they were from, their other countries, you know. Well, we're from Great Britain, you know, from Germany, you know, we're from Australia, you know. And I hadn't heard people say, hey, I'm just proud that I'm American. You know, because everybody perceives us as a melting pot. So as a melting pot, we have roots other places. And as generations go by, more and more people are born here in America, even if they're an immigrant from somewhere else. And maybe they just forgot that they should be proud that they're born here or a naturalized citizen. And speaking about our new book, I wanted to mention something in the book, that there's a letter from an immigration officer who actually knows that they play the national anthem first for a new immigrant who has become a citizen, and then they play my song, God Bless the USA, which is pretty cool.
It's very, very cool, especially since you wrote that back in, what, 98, was it 83?
83 I wrote it.
And you'd only been in the business for a few years then.
I went to Nashville in '79. I had my first record in '81.
Okay.
And then I was on the label with Reba and George Strait, the Oak Ridge Boys, and Barbara Mandrell. We had all different kinds of careers, you know, but it just took me that path.
So what inspired you, though, to write that? Other than, I know you said, nobody says that, but to put that in a song, that's, you know, people don't usually do that, certainly back then.
I wrote the song because I wanted to express the feelings that we should have as a unified country. And so here we are now at 30 years later. In 2013, it'll be 30 years since I wrote it. And there'll be some special stuff we do at that anniversary. But I thought it's time we have a book that asks the question.
Okay, and the question is, does God still bless the USA? I mean, that's a provocative title.
Interesting, and I always thought myself pretty good at titles, and before I wrote the book, and it took us almost a year to get it done, I began testing that with other people. What if I had a book called Does God Still Bless You? Ooh, that'd be interesting, you know. And so when we got to that point, actually, I just sort of had a friendship with Dr. Tate, with Tate Publishing in Oklahoma, and they actually asked me, would you write the book? And I said, I'm not really an author. That's not something I want to spend a lot of time with. So Dr. Tate's wife, Rita, is a biblical scholar and a wonderful writer, and she said, I'll help you write it.
So how many times have you been approached to run for office?
Never.
Well, and it's nice to have you not a politician so that you can actually probably get more done.
Well, I say that all the time. You know, I've never served in the military, which I would have gladly served up for the Marines when I was about 15, 16 years old. But I had children very early on, and I had a different path to follow, you know, a different walk.
But you love the military. I mean, you've been so good. They've been good to you. You've been good to them.
30 USO tours. I started working when I was 15. As a matter of fact, in my first band called the Apollos, and that was hip then, folks. That was something cool in those days. It was a Greek god. My bass player was in the Air National Guard, and we had to give up a week a month because he had to go to camp to training. And I was like, man, that's a pretty stiff sacrifice, you know.
Well, you're obviously an honorary member of the military. You got the legacy. You got the heart. I am proud to say that. Yeah, I have some honorary things that have been given to me that I cherish, and I have all kinds of insignias. As a matter of fact, I just got a coin from the CO here at APHIS, which is pretty cool. Absolutely, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to come. Of course, the book is Does God Still Bless the USA? Lee Greenwood. And you got a record coming out. We haven't even, I mean, you got that coming out.
The new CD has nothing to do with this, but it is my first music in 3 years. It's an EP. Has the same picture as the book, so that's kind of, you can't get lost with the picture. It's called I Want to Be in Your World, and there are 7 songs on it. I wrote 3 of them that represent 3 different decades. And there's one song on it called You Can Let Go Now, written by Kenny Loggins and Michael McDonald. And I asked Michael if he'd come in and play piano for me, and he did. And so it's just he and I in the studio. You'll like that one.
Very, very nice. I look forward to that. Thank you so much, Lee. And we want you to look for Lee Greenwood's book and CDs in your bookmark and power zone. Just look for Lee Greenwood. He's everywhere.